Welcome to Everyday Good, a podcast where we take a small slice of life and explore how the person and work of Jesus is good in the midst of it. We can find ourselves in situations where we want to impress others, or at least not look weak. Pursuing impressiveness and concealing weakness can be exhausting. I'm your host, Laura Kleinschmidt, and in this episode, we will be discussing our desire to impress. Today, my guest is Justin Searles. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad that you're here. I'm excited to talk about our topic today. And before we do that, I wonder if you could just share a little bit about your season of life first.
Sure. So I'm in my 40s and living in the suburbs of Chicago and married, 3 kids, and 2 daughters of the heart, girls that we care for, and just parent, even though they don't have parents that are in their life and they're older. So that's a challenge and a joy at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm also pastoring a church, and I'm loving that too. So
Great.
That's life.
I wonder, do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I would say my biggest one is disc golf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we just got the disc golf stuff out yesterday because it was sunny, and didn't think we'd be playing in February, but we gave it a shot.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were sharing with me a situation, and I just wondered if you'd share with our audience
Sure.
a little bit about that.
Being a part of the church that we're a part of, there's 6 different campuses, and all of them have a pastor. And about every month, usually every month, we get together in a meeting where all the 6 campus pastors get together with the lead pastor of our church and a lot of the executive staff. And it's a lot of people I respect so much and love so much and want to be so helpful to. I have some learning disabilities too, where I can't label things properly and I can't quote the Bible like the other pastors can, and I'm a pastor. That's supposed to be a great ability that I have, and I don't have it. And that's not because I'm not in the Bible. I just don't have that ability. And so that makes me insecure. So I'm always looking to compensate for something. So the best way to, I guess, explain it is I'm trying to impress them with everything I've got, all the skills that I've got. And I'm also trying to conceal all my inadequacies or flaws. And so that's hard to do. And then I also have this ability to go on rambling trails, trying to impress people or tell a story that's really going to change their life or impress them some more. So, it's just a temptation that's continual. So it's not something I'm even conscious of a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And
so any thoughts that are going through your head during these meetings, or when you realize, oh, I'm talking a lot, or I'm telling all these stories, or anything going on there that you want to share?
Yeah. I feel like my motives are kind of corrupt, and I just want to be impressive. That I'm not speaking for those reasons, that I'm really speaking to just impress people. And if I'm honest, that's sometimes a motive that I've had over the years that I've continued to struggle with. Just even being as a pastor, I want to be impressive when I speak. I want to be impressive when I relate with people, when they call me into an emergency situation. I just want to be impressive. But that's the place that it's worst is when I walk into this meeting with all these people that I think so much of, who I want to impress. Laura, do you have anything like similar or along the same lines?
Yeah, it is similar, a little different. So last week I went to the library to get a new book, and I parked in the underground parking garage, which has quite a few of those pillars in it. And I guess you have to keep all that concrete elevated, and these pillars do that. And I was thinking, I have to be careful when I back out because these pillars are pretty close to the car. So in the library, I saw somebody I knew and hadn't seen for a while, and we talked for a while. I was thinking about that conversation, and I was backing out and cranking the wheel to get headed in the right direction when I heard crunch. It's hard for me to remember exactly what happened next, but I do remember hearing someone screaming. And I realized it was me. So I got out of the car, saw the damage, and then I pulled away. the bumper of the car curves around the front a bit, and that bumper was pulled out of the car, sticking out. It was drivable, but it looked really bad. There was this bright yellow paint on the car, too.
That screams, I hit something.
Yes. Yeah. Why did they have to use bright yellow? Why couldn't it be dark blue like my car's color? So what are my thoughts, my actions in regards to that? Well, we typically pull into our driveway backwards and leave the car in the driveway until the evening. But this past week, I've been pulling in forward because I didn't want to see my neighbors see the damage. I didn't want them to say, oh, I see you have some damage there. What happened to your car? Also, I remember thinking, okay, where are the places I am going to go this week? Because I want to make sure the other car is available. I don't want to drive this one. It's not because it didn't work. It's just because I didn't want people I knew to ask the question.
Let's not advertise our worst moments. That's no fun. Yeah,
exactly. So I wanted to hide, which is interesting because you said the word conceal.
Yeah.
And actually, my husband and I, we went back to the library parking garage the next day to try to find the pieces of the bumper to see if we could fix it ourselves. And I remember looking at the pillars in the garage and counting how many of them were marked up and doing a little percentage work in my mind.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
And I said to him, oh, look, Dave, look at all the pillars in this garage that have marks on them. And then I went on to complain about the library and how they don't know how to make garages. Too many pillars, the spaces are too tight, and on and on. So I did a bit of hiding with pulling the car in a certain way, not wanting neighbors and friends to see. Also a little bit of blaming and complaining and deflecting. So when you talked about concealing and just feeling insecure, inadequate, it's different situations, but a little similarity there too. In regards to the root of it, you shared a little bit about wanting to be impressive. I think for me, I have to ask myself, well, why do I want to hide the fact that I hit something? And why do I want to deflect my driving flawedness by complaining and blaming? And I think it's because I don't want others to think I'm weak. So I think it's a little bit like your situation, but sort of the flip side. It's not that I want them to think super highly of me. I just don't want them to think too low of me. Although you did share a little.
Yeah,
about that too.
I think it's in everybody. I think it's going to be a different combination of both of those. That is a strong motivation in our actions, in our motives for life. So
right. Well, this is Everyday Good, where we're taking a small slice of life. You and I have both shared a little slice of life, and we're looking at the goodness of Jesus in it. So in regards to your situation, can you share a bit about that?
Sure. So before I go into the meetings, I have to remember what Jesus says about me and what his work has done for me. What he says about me is that, I see you, I know you, I've seen all the mistakes and flaws, and far worse than anybody in this world has seen. I know your thoughts from afar. He knows so much about us, every single thing, and he's still chosen to love me, not because of my performance, my bad performance, or my good performance. Like neither my evil or stupidity or distraction or my, those are the things that I'm ashamed of, or the things that I'm proud of. He didn't choose me because of either of those. He chose me because he loves me, and he wanted me to be his. And my record was not good. My motives were not good. He said, the message that Jesus gives us is that I'm going to trade my performance for yours. So you don't have to feel this way anymore. You don't have to feel that you're flawed, or be insecure about it, or anything like that.
You don't have to be impressive.
Right. He's the most impressive human being that has existed on the face of the earth. And he traded his performance for mine. And so when I stand before God, who knows all and sees all, he chooses to see, Jesus' performance and accept me that way and love me that way. And it calms my desire to be impressive down a lot. And I think that the gospel message brings me a peace in those moments that says, Justin, your performance here is already been accounted for, whether you do good or bad. My opinion of you, God says, through Christ, is that my opinion of you is you're forgiven and you're redeemed, and your record is what Christ has done for you. So you don't have to impress the people in that room. You don't have to conceal your flaws. And there's a scripture that says, in your weakness I look strong. So I don't have to be afraid, and I don't have to be impressive. I can just walk into the room and put on the performance that Jesus has had and say, I'm good, and I'm just going to try to be as helpful and genuine and loving. I'm going to try to be like him as much as I can. And sometimes that's just okay to be quiet and listen and let somebody else talk and walk out of the room and no one's impressed with you. It's fine.
That's great. So you shared so many good things there about performance and his performance substituted for yours. I just love that. So how do you engage with God when you realize that this is happening and you start remembering what you just shared?
It's a cry to, just say, Lord, I'm feeling insecure, or I'm feeling like I want these people to think I'm awesome, and I just need to remember that I'm not here to make Justin look impressive. I'm here to make Jesus look impressive. That's my goal, is that people would see that God has been good and God is, redeemed. And so would you just help me to focus my thoughts?
That's really good.
Yeah.
I love that what you said. It's not about making Justin impressive, but Jesus impressive.
Yeah. He's already impressive. I just have to, just try to be like him, and and give him the glory for it, because my record doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you're very honest with him. Like, I'm struggling now. I need help. Help me to remember these things. That's really good. Well, yeah, I think similarly, it's interesting what you shared about Jesus are some of the things that I thought about in my situation as well. I can remember that Christ is perfect, which you mentioned as well. And I'm not. I'm flawed. I'm going to make mistakes. And when I make a mistake, such as hitting a pillar with my car, I don't need to beat myself up. I know I'm flawed and he loves me anyway, just like you were sharing. And I can admit that I'm weak and be okay with it, which I know is countercultural, right? I hear these phrases, be strong, you can do it. And that just feels like a lot of pressure to me sometimes. I can't be strong in everything. I can think I need to be strong, smart, intelligent, prove myself. Therefore, I can't admit weakness. But I don't need to hide. And you mentioned a verse that I was just reading the other day where Jesus actually says to the Apostle Paul, my power is made perfect in weakness. And that's really helpful.
Yeah, sometimes our weakness helps us see that God is providing, or He's stepping in to our lives and creating something that we can't create, doing something that we can't do.
Yeah, in regards to complaining, maybe the architects did not construct the library parking garage well. I don't really know. I'm guessing they did a fine job. But let's say they did something wrong. I don't need everyone and everything around me to be perfect, to live a joyful life. I can remember I'm sinful and flawed, and others are too, and it's really helpful. In regards to blaming, I can just freely own up to what I've done. I don't need to blame everyone else when, like what you said, when I know that he's chosen me, he loves me, and I don't feel this need to perform. So engaging with God, I could come out of hiding with God and others. So my first step is just being honest with him and really thanking him that he knows me. He knows I'm flawed. He knows I'm going to make mistakes. And when I make a mistake, such as hitting a pillar with my car, I don't need to beat myself up. He knows I'm flawed and he loves me anyway. And I can confess to him my complaining, my blaming, and actually just ask him to help me through that. And actually I found that it's hard to complain when I'm thanking him. And then I want to ask him to help me remember who I am and who he is, just like you were saying. So weakness is kind of a requirement for the Christian faith,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm weaselly or I have to say, I go around saying, poor me, I'm such a loser. But no, instead it means I get my strength from someone other than myself. And that's what Paul says. I am content with weaknesses. When I am weak, then I'm strong. So asking him to help me remember that.
And that we don't have to conceal.
Yes.
Or when I look at a lot of situations and I think to myself, why can't I do what everyone else can do? I feel so inadequate and I need to do something else to show I'm still important. And I got to just believe that God has already declared that he loves me. He cares for me. I'm important because he says so. I get emotional thinking about it, but that's why God loves me. He's made me his own through Christ. And thank you. Now I don't have to think I have to impress anybody. I'm just loved because I'm his.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a sweet, sweet thing to know that. Yeah.
And there's this rest. Doesn't it bring rest to you when you, I don't know, that's how that affects me. When I remember those sayings, there's just this calm, this rest.
Yeah, it's a relaxing of your soul almost when you realize those things that God says about you. Yeah.
Right. So how am I engaging with this situation? When I remember these things, I can park the way I usually park, right? With the front of the car facing the neighbors. And I can even tell my neighbors proactively what happened. And I'm starting to do this. I actually just went out to eat with a neighbor friend, and I told her, by the way, last week I just banged up my car at the library. In fact, that same night we were at that restaurant, a tornado siren went off that same night. So this relates. And the server came around and said, we have the basement doors open. Feel free to go down. And I started looking around to see if anyone else was going down there. For some reason, I didn't want to be the first one to go into the basement. Why? I think it's because I did not want to be the weak one, which is crazy. The roof could have gone off and sucked me out, but I wouldn't have been the weak one. So I can be honest about wanting to go to the basement during a tornado, and I can be honest about hitting a pillar. I can try to refrain from complaining and blaming. And I've actually found that if I'm doing the work of digging up the root, like you were talking about, just finding that rest and engaging with God, I actually don't feel the need as much to blame and complain. It kind of cuts it off at the root. So we've been talking about a lot of good things here. So just in summary, what are some key things that are really good?
Yeah, there's profound relief. I think, what's good about the cross is the profound sense of relief I have that I don't have to impress people. That my performance is not a deal at all as to whether or not I'm loved or not. I'm loved. I'm his.
Yeah.
So that's a relief. It's like you can just breathe and you don't have to. It's not so much work. Oh my goodness! It's you don't have to. It's a lot of work to be impressive, and it's a lot of work to conceal your bad bumper. It
is a lot of work,
and it's a lot of mental weight. And when Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden," I think that's one of the things that he takes off is this.
Yeah.
Is this desire to be impressive or conceal my faults? I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That is really good. Yeah. Not feeling like I have to hide my weakness. For me, it's incredibly refreshing and freeing. It makes my life a lot more simpler too. I don't have to pretend I'm strong with certain sets of people. I can just simply be honest everywhere.
A lot of times we want to have the answer or the fix, especially men. We just want to fix a situation or have the solution.
Oh, I can relate to that.
it's a
Actually,
rel-
that was our last episode.
Okay. I'll go back and listen. Anyway, but yeah, that's a relief to say that it belongs. It's over. I'm loved. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So
No, this is the topic.
okay.
And it's good. It's good. Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming and sharing today. This has just been a joy to talk about this.
Yeah. And a relief and so many wonderful things.
Yeah, well, we can both
So
be a
glad to
little
be here.
we can both be a little lighter walking out the door today. All right. Well, thank you.
See you guys.
This is Everyday Good, a podcast where we take a small slice of life and explore how the person and work of Jesus is good in the midst of it.